Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We did the beer can chickens as far as prepping them for the rub, and now we're gonna do some beef ribs. Now I've got 3 racks of beef ribs here. They're not the best cut of ribs because you'll notice they've gouged out the meat at the cutters. I mean, there's some meat there, and these will be good ribs, but I prefer to have the ribs that haven't been gouged out, with more of the meat content on there. Well, a lot of folks cook the racks of ribs in racks. Personally, I like my ribs separated prior to cooking, prior to the smoke. You can get more flavor all around the rib. I think it's a shorter cooking time personally, and it just makes it an easier time serving because you don't have to cut them apart for the kids and whatnot. So anyway, what I like to do is I'll separate my ribs. I don't really worry about the membrane on the back of the ribs. That's never been an issue for me or my family. So membrane is still pretty much intact. I've seen all types of videos and whatnot where people are removing membrane or scoring it so you can cut it easier, and that's not wrong. I mean, that's fine. That's what people prefer. Then more power to them. Me personally, I like to just separate them this way and leave it at that, and then get into the seasoning. This one's kind of a hearty rack. It's a good cut compared to the other 2. I try to watch for the good sales on the ribs, and when I see them in the stores, while I load up, I'll buy them all. Because even if you throw them in the freezer, and then you got a lazy Saturday or holiday off, then you can do this. Now, I thawed these last night and just put them in the fridge so I could work on them today. So there you have, we've separated out all the ribs, and now what I like to do for a flavor base, once again, just like the beer can chickens, I've seen a lot of recipes for your base. Now the base serves 2 purposes. I've seen mustard seed as a base, and then of course I use the olive oil for the poultry and the pork as a base. But with beef, I like something a little heartier as a flavor base, and so I choose to go with the Worcestershire, or like my kids like to say, the Worcestershire sauce. That's a good flavor base to start with, and it'll put some moisture into the ribs, and it allows for your dry rub that you're going to apply to adhere better. Now I like this one, the French's, because it seems to be just not as runny. It's a little thicker, has a little more visible spice in it, which is nice. And I just rub each rib down a little bit, make sure that the Worcestershire got on there. And I like that little spigot because it doesn't come just pouring out. You can kind of control what's coming out. And I just go over each one, you know, pretty liberally. Making sure I coat each one with a bit. And that's it. That's what I really enjoy as a good flavor base for, you know, beef ribs. I don't boil my ribs. I don't know why anybody would do that. I've heard people doing that, and that just seems silly. You're taking all your flavor out when you boil your ribs. It just doesn't seem right anyway. So, and by the time we're done with these will be nice and tender and really flavorful. So there we have the and you can see it puts a nice coating on there, and it starts soaking into the meat right away. So once you've done that, I move into the dry rub portion of this. Now the dry rub, you know, I've got all kinds of containers here, and you're going to see one that says Speydel Ranch, and that is a component because it's got a lot of what I like in it. That's a component of the rub, but this is just a container for what we actually use, and it's got just a medley of things. And I'll put a video up later of what's all in here and the proportions. But what I'll do is I just apply this right on the ribs, real thick, and it's got a good hickory barbecue smell to it in a dry rub, which is gonna work good when we get it out on the smoker. That coupled with the apple mop sauce that I've got out there, it just complements one another really well. Really good flavor. That with the Worcestershire, I mean, it just works. And like I say, I just apply a nice liberal coating to each rib, and then we'll get them in these bags to just kind of marinate in their own rub for a bit. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and coat each one of these ribs. I don't answer the phone usually ever when I'm at home, so we're just going to let that ring. Especially on a weekend where I'm not working. Okay, so we've got this really good rub seasoning. And you got red cayenne in here. You got hickory. You've got just a ton of stuff. It's good, and I'll put that recipe up so you have that later. Now we'll put these in individual gallon bags, these ribs, and we'll let them sit. And I'll get these ribs on about 2 o'clock. And what I like to do is I'll smoke them for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. And smokes low and slow, like everybody knows. And then I'll wrap them in a foil bundle and add some apple cider vinegar and some apple juice and some citrus, and we'll just smoke, foil them is what they call it, for another 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it just really rehydrates the meat, and these things will come out, fall off the bone, delicious. So that's how you do it.